Hey, and welcome back to Knit Your Stress Away, your podcast for all things stress relief and knitting. Stress relief through knitting, actually. I'm your host, Nadine Medina, and today I want to share a fun, quick, and practical tip as to how you can store your knitted garments. So let's dive into this Knit and Tell Friday. Welcome to Knit Your Stress Away. Are you a mom who feels overwhelmed, craving a creative outlet, but unsure where to start or how to fit it into your already packed day? I have dedicated this podcast to help you discover practical, guilt-free self-care strategies through the calming practice of knitting. I'll help you break free from the overwhelm, quiet the noise and comparison of social media, empowering you to pick up your knitting needles instead and embrace moments of rest, creativity, and mindfulness. Hi, I'm Nadine, a mom, wife, and passionate knitter. I first learned to knit as a teenager from my grandmother back in Germany, but for some reason, I put my needles down in my 20s. It wasn't until 2020, when everyone was searching for ways to ease the anxiety of the unknown, that I picked knitting back up, and something amazing happened. I found peace and joy in the cozy, calming rhythm of knitting, and now I'm so excited to share my practical tips and habits with you so you can reclaim your time, recharge, and rediscover the things that bring you happiness. It's time to ditch the endless scroll on social media and focus on what truly matters, your well-being. So if you're ready to take control of your stress, ditch overwhelm and social media comparison, rekindle your creativity, and recharge with a hobby you love, this podcast will guide you every step of the way. Take a deep breath, grab your knitting needles, and let's start creating a life with less stress and more joy, one stitch at a time. Hey, and welcome back to another installment of the Knit and Tell Friday. Fridays are laid back and short episodes that are designed to give you a quick knitting tip, or today is actually a beyond knitting tip. And I also like to chat. That's where the tell part comes in. I like to chat about what I'm currently knitting, what I want to knit, maybe what I am loving, what I'm not liking so much, and where the knitting tips come in. And occasionally I also share about what I'm currently reading, because I love reading almost as much as I love knitting. And the struggle between the two is always real for me to pick which one I want to do. So oftentimes, I try to get both in, but I just haven't gotten really great at knitting at the same time as I'm reading. And yes, I know there's audiobooks out there, and I've had so many people tell me, why don't you try that? And I have to say, it's just not my favorite. I have tried it, and I like audiobooks for self-development books or for, anything that's not fiction. But when it comes to novels and fictional books, I just prefer having the book in my hand or the Kindle and actually reading it. And it doesn't really have anything to do with, feeling like I'm just cheating or anything, because people have said that too. Like, do you feel like you're not really reading the book if you're actually just listening to it? I don't think that's it. It's just I get kind of distracted when I try to listen to a story. It's the weirdest thing. It doesn't happen when I do the nonfiction books. I can stay on track with that. But somehow reading a novel equates to, relaxing time for me. And when I listen to something, I usually walk around or I do something like dishes or laundry, and it just doesn't have that same effect to me. So that's a really long-winded way of saying that I wish I had, time to devote equally to reading and to knitting. I do that, but I just wish I had more time to do it, because I love them both so much. So let's get into today's tip. And this is actually something you can use even if you're not knitting any sweaters at this time. You can use this for any bulky, or knitted sweaters that you own, that you have bought in a store. But obviously, mainly I came across this tip when I first figured out how do I store my knitted things that I have made, because it's not as easy as you would think, or at least it's not as straightforward as you would think, as you would like store a t-shirt or something relatively light. Usually we put it on a hanger. That's what I do. If you fold it, that's another way, of course, to do that. But I feel like there's a struggle when it comes to bulky sweaters or knitted items in general. This could be a scarf, this could be a shirt, because they tend to kind of get creases or stretched out, especially when you hang them on a hanger. They will have stretch out shoulders, and that's just not something that I enjoy in anything that I wear. But there's a way around that, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. It's super simple. It's so very simple. You're going to be like, wow, why did I not think about that? Or maybe you did, and you're already doing this, which is even better. Also, stick around if you're brand new to knitting and if you're excited to learn, but slightly overwhelmed. I have a really fun thing coming up that I want to talk to you about. All right, let's jump into today's tip. So let's hang our bulky sweaters or knitted shirts, knitted scarves without stretching or creasing them. It's a very simple trick. You still need a hanger for each item. This is actually also really great if you are like me and you just don't have a lot of space to have folded items, because otherwise you could just fold your sweaters too and put them on a shelf. I'm just not a huge fan of it. Plus, I really just don't have the storage space for it. So I prefer to hang most of my clothes, and this is such a great way to do this. So you need your hanger. And now, instead of putting the hanger into your sweater the way you would normally hang up like a t-shirt or any kind of jacket, put it underneath both of the shoulders and hang it over it, you are going to first lay your sweater flat and then fold it in half from one side to the other. So vertically, you're going to fold your sweater in half. Now, you can kind of fold the sleeves slightly over as well so that you can actually put it on the hanger. But now we're going to take the hanger and slide it under the actual folded sweater, right about halfway. And then you're just going to drape that sweater over the hanger and make sure that you kind of straighten it out so that no creases are actually laying across that bottom part of the hanger. And you're done. That's it. So essentially, instead of putting it inside of the sweater, you are folding the sweater one time, and then you're making sure that there's no creases, and then you're hanging it over the hanger middle part where, actually, I forgot to say, this has to be a hanger that is made to hang up pants or trousers. Otherwise, it won't work. If you only have a hanger that has the two wings and no connection at the bottom where you would hang a pair of pants, this is not going to work. So should have said that in the beginning, but still, you didn't just run and try to do this, I hope. So yes, you need a hanger that you can hang a pair of jeans over, and then you essentially draping that folded sweater over the part where you would normally hang your pants. You can do this with a t-shirt that you knitted as well, the same way. And depending on the size of the shirt, you may be able to hang it on there that way without even having to fold it in half at all. If not, you can always fold the shirt in half lengthwise as well, and then slide it across the hanger and just make sure that it's kind of evened out so it doesn't slip off, just like you would with a pair of pants. And one of my favorite ways to use it too is for a scarf. I have a lot of knitted scarves that I don't want to just kind of roll up and throw somewhere. And those are really hard to hang up the, traditional way, if you will, over the hanger. So I do the same thing there. I kind of lay them flat. I see where I can fold them neatly to where they fit onto that hanger in the middle part. And then I slide them over there, and you can hang them in your closet and organize them, by color or by type or whatever you want to do. And it's super cool because you actually, I don't know if you're like me or not, but for a long time, I wasn't wearing my scarves because I quite literally forgot that I had them. I know, it's ridiculous. But now that I hang them up this way, because they were just stuffed in a box, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I have those somewhere. But now I have them hung on a hanger, and they're in my closet right there next to my shirts and my sweaters. And it's like easy to see. And it's also easy to kind of see, what do they go with? What color, what style? And I just kind of mix and match as I pick my outfit. And it is amazing. This way I'm wearing my scarves all the time. So this method definitely helps keeping your sweaters, your scarves, your whatever you knitted, your shirts nice and neat. It saves space, honestly, drawer space or shelf space. And it just helps them last longer and look really nice when you actually are wearing them. So When I first saw this tip, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I needed because I just had such trouble storing all my awesome knits. Okay, let's go talk about what's on my needles currently. Lots of things, lots of different things. Kind of putting the sweater that I'm still finishing the sleeves on hold for a little while. 2 reasons. Number 1, because I am starting to make a couple of gifts for people. Number 2, because it's finally gotten cold and it's not super necessary to have that thin sweater ready right now. So I'm focusing on more cozy knits. I was hoping to get it done before it got really cool. Didn't work. No big deal. But the good news is that you can always come back to it, especially if you're tracking your rows, like we talked about in a previous episode, and you're making sure that you know exactly where you are in your pattern. You can put your current knitting project on just a piece of yarn. So you just cut a piece of yarn, weave it through the stitches by the needle, and then you can pull your knitting needle out and you just have it kind of sitting there. You want to tie a knot so it doesn't slide off, and you can get back to it whenever you're ready. So meanwhile, what I have been doing, and this is so fun because it's actually going right into the next thing I want to talk about, I've been knitting little headbands in preparation for the live knitting workshop on Wednesday, December 4th at 10 a.m. You're invited to join me on this workshop. It's going to be so fun. It's called Knitting Made Simple for Busy Moms. And in 60 minutes, I'm going to teach you all the basics that you need to know so that you can cast on and knit your first rows in confidence or with confidence. I'm going to teach you what the essential tools are that you need so that you're not feeling overwhelmed by everything that's out there. And I am also going to teach you the step-by-step process to actually start and finish this very first project, which is a cute little headband, perfect for the season, actually perfect for gifting. So I've been making these headbands, which take no time to make. I mean, if you sat down, even if you're super new to knitting, you would probably get them done in a few hours. And I'm just excited to be teaching this to you, especially if you're like, wow, I have no idea where to even start. By the end of those 60 minutes, you will have such a great idea where to start and also finish that project. You won't finish it, obviously, within the 60 minutes, but you're going to learn everything you need to know. And then you can take it and finish it on your own time with the support of our community, of course, the beginner knitters community that you can join anytime you like. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to wait until you're in the workshop. You can join this place now. It's free. You can find it at theknittingmamas.com/group. And you can join us in there anytime you like. But yeah, so those little headbands, I've been making different kinds of colors so you can see the difference. And my daughter, she already wants to snatch one. So I told her she can after we're done with the workshop. But they make cute gifts. They're like a twisted headband. And it's so easy, you don't even need a pattern for it. So I'm going to give you everything you need to make that little headband in the workshop. Another thing that I have started to put on my needles is a tiny little scarf called the Sophie scarf. And I've knitted one in the summer for my best friend back in Germany. And you can make these tiny little scarves out of any kind of yarn that you really have laying around. You don't even need a full ball of yarn to make this thing. So I found some leftover really fuzzy yarn that I had from a sweater before. And I was like, oh, this would be so cute in one of those little tiny scarves. And you can make the scarf either wrapping around, like it's really thin. It's probably maybe 3-4 inches at the most of width. So it's not necessarily like keeping you super warm, but it's like a cute accessory. And you can even make it out of cotton and wear it in warmer days when you're wearing a tank top and just put that little scarf around it. So there's 2 versions. One goes around your neck once and you just kind of tie it one time. And the other one can go around your neck twice. So you just double tie it around and then make a knot. They're so very cute. I'm going to show them in our group. So if you want to head over there and, just have a look, I'm going to share what is it called? I'm going to share the pattern. I'm going to share the pattern link inside of the show notes and of course also in our community. And if you go to my Instagram, you're going to be able to see me posting updates on how that is looking. And you can also see the headbands that I have made so far on my Instagram. All right, so back to the workshop, just really quick to wrap up this episode today. The workshop is designed with busy moms in mind. So you, my friend, and you'll walk away feeling empowered and excited to carve out a little creative time for yourself, because I promise you, you're going to fall in love with knitting if you haven't yet. This is also for you if you need a refresher on how to do this. I actually would have loved this kind of workshop when I grabbed my needles again back in 2020. When I was like, wonder if I can still do this. Turns out with a little help from YouTube, I was able to do it, but I find it really kind of complicated and overwhelming to be piecing together things, on YouTube and everywhere else, because you're going to have to save it and you have to make sure that you find the same one again if you enjoyed it. And if you don't, then you can't find it again. So much. There's so much out there about knitting, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. But if you're in the beginning stages and you're like, wow, I just don't even know where to start, most times what happens is we just don't even start. And that's what I want to avoid. I want to hold your hand so you can get started and you actually have the confidence to knit an entire little project and complete it, because it's going to build your confidence around this craft so much, and you're just going to love it. So if you're ready to learn how to knit and experience the calming effect that it can bring to your busy life, go to theknittingmamas.com/workshop and sign up to be part of the December 4th workshop. And just a quick word, if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do that on December 4th at 10 a.m. That's a bad time for me. Please don't worry. You can still sign up and you will get the recording and everything else after the workshop is done, and you can watch it as many times as you need. Anybody who signs up for it will get the recording, and it'll lead you through any struggles and anything that you need to rewatch, to really get the hang of it and practice over and over and master those basics. So don't worry about that. But I would love to guide you through your first stitches and help you start a hobby that is all about self-care and creativity. So thank you so much for joining me today right here on the Knit Your Stress Away podcast. And I just want to encourage you that even small changes can make a big difference. And I hope you're ready to take the leap into knitting with me. And I hope to see you in the December 4th workshop and talk to you next week right here on the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on today's episode. I hope you're walking away with a bit more inspiration and a few ideas to make your self-care a priority. If today's chat gave you a little boost, I'd love it if you could leave a 5-star review on iTunes. This helps other moms discover the podcast and start finding more calm and creativity in their day as well. And don't forget to join us over in the Knitting Mamas community on Facebook by going to theknittingmamas.com/group. Thanks again, and remember, you deserve time for yourself to recharge and feel your best. Catch you next time on the Knit the Stress Away podcast.